friends, students, educators, and parents who are joining us this morning. I'm trying to get this in before my baby wakes up.
Cecily, hold on.
And shout out to all of the mamas out there who know what I mean, because I'm on breakfast duty after this. We have a new format today. We're on Zoom with members of our bargaining team and board of directors. Joining us are Arlene Inouye, our UTLA secretary and bargaining team co-chair, and Jennifer McAfee, an 8th grade teacher at Dotson Middle School, a UTLA board member from the mighty Harbor area. We are focusing on one topic today, one of the most critical topics. That's what is needed for physical school sites to be safe for our students, staff, and families to return. That calculation changed this week with the alarming surge in coronavirus infections and hospitalizations. On Wednesday, the state recorded its single highest day coronavirus death toll with 149 fatalities reported. That is a sad number to see. My thoughts are with you if you know someone that is struggling with this disease. But that number and the loss of human life it represents doesn't mean much to Donald Trump. His administration failed our county on an epic scale during this crisis. Now he is scrambling and putting our schools in his crosshairs. This week, he issued threats to withhold federal funding for schools that don't reopen. We have to take a stand, a strong stance against this dangerous anti-science agenda that puts the lives of our members, our students, and our families at risk. Even before the spike in infections and Trump's reckless talk, there were serious issues with starting the school year on physical campuses. State and federal governments have not provided the resources or funds to start school safely. There is not enough time for the district to put together the detailed, rigorous plans that must be in place to physically reopen our sites. You'll hear more from our bargaining team members later on, and what they heard from the district in bargaining this week and why they feel the district is not prepared to open schools. Other countries that have reopened schools like New Zealand, Vietnam, and Germany did so only after they flattened the curve and set up contact tracing and other measures. California is not there yet, not even close. In light of all this, the UTLA Board of Directors and our bargaining team are calling on LAUSD to keep campuses closed and focus on robust crisis/distance learning practices for the fall. I know this idea is hard to grapple with. It's hitting us hard to even think about not being back with our students in the fall. And parents out there, we know it's been incredibly tough to step up as our partners in teaching while many struggle with the economic fallout of this crisis. But safety must come first, along with a commitment to refocus on strengthening crisis distance learning. UTLA members, we need your input. This morning, after our Facebook Live session, check your email for a UTLA poll on where you stand on reopening physical school sites in the fall. The poll will have one question only: whether you support the call to not reopen schools on August 18th. Be sure to answer the poll before 5 p.m. tonight. We will be sharing the results soon after. Our position is backed by science. UTLA's research team has faced a new report that dives into the conditions that must be met for a safe return and the special challenges LAUSD faces as the second largest district in the country. Some of the main takeaways from our new research report available in the comments section below. 1, this is a highly contagious, deadly disease, and the role of children in the transmission of COVID-19 is currently unknown. Many young people still experience severe illness, and an asymptomatic child may bring the virus home to their high-risk grandparents, to their densely populated apartment buildings, or to a parent with an essential job that brings them in contact with hundreds of people. 2, this is a novel virus. Scientists continue to uncover new symptoms and risk factors, and the long-term effects are almost completely unknown. What are the best practices today could be different tomorrow. 3rd, LAUSD educates over 500,000 students, employs over 60,000 adults, and is spread out over 720 square miles. We are a huge district, and the vast network of busing, commuting results in an extraordinary number of contacts, which undermines social distancing and contact tracing, key methods of pandemic control. 4, there is a jarringly desperate rate of COVID-19 infection, severe illness, and death among Black, brown, and poor working communities, where structural racism and economic inequality mean people live with economic and social factors that increase the risk of illness and death. LAUSD has over 500,000 students with families who are especially vulnerable to serious illness and death. In these communities, people are more likely to have essential jobs, insufficient health care, higher levels of pre-existing health conditions, and live in crowded housing. Because of the forces of structural racism, Blacks, Latinx, and Pacific Islanders in LA County are dying of COVID-19 at twice the rate of white residents. And now let's talk to Arlene Inouye, our UTLA secretary and bargaining team co-chair. She was just at the table with LAUSD yesterday in bargaining and can share what they learned about how prepared the school district is to reopen school campuses. Arlene?
Thank you so much, Cecily. First of all, I want to share about our bargaining team. We're comprised of 14 classroom teachers and educators who are on the board of directors. They're elected, representing all areas of the city, special categories, UTLA officers, our research and analytics director, and our executive director. This is the team that's been together before the 2019 strike. And now we face a situation that we never imagined. We will literally be making decisions that affect the life and death of our students, members, families, and communities. As Cecily stated last week, just last Wednesday, 149 people died in the state of California, the largest single day death toll. This largely unknown coronavirus is surging and out of control. We take all of this very seriously, and the bargaining team, who has been working intensely since the school shut down March 12th, we have your back. We know there are no easy or really good solutions, but to fight for safety and equity. So yesterday was our first bargaining session with LAUSD in preparation for the beginning of the 2020 to 21 school year. We asked so many questions about health and safety standards and the logistical planning for a physical reopening of schools, given the need for rigorous health and safety measures to prevent the spread of the coronavirus 19. Well, we understand that the district must prepare for all possibilities. That's either 100% distance learning, 100% opening up the schools, or a hybrid model, which is a combination of the two. It's our responsibility to critically consider the data, the science, the feasibility, given the lack of resources and time. And we must also take into account the need for protections for high-risk students and employees with pre-existing conditions, students with disabilities, and Black, Brown, and low-income communities subjected to the structural racism and economic inequality. So we emphasize the following. Number one, community preparedness necessary through objective metrics and dramatically increased funding. Two, the need for testing and contact tracing protocols. Three, physical distancing consistent with the most recent epidemiological information. Four, emphasis on hygiene with the supplies, the time, and school administrative support needed. And five, increased health, emotional, and academic support for trauma and the impacts of the social isolation. In other words, we know that we're going to need more mental health professionals in our schools and a nurse at every school. During the session, we expressed grave and significant doubt about the district's ability to provide the necessary resources and the time to physically open schools safely and effectively, given the increase in cases of the virus. We're calling on the district not to reopen schools physically. Let me repeat that. We are asking the district not to reopen schools physically, but to instead focus negotiations on a robust distance learning program or crisis learning program for the fall of 2020. Our bargaining proposals included all of these factors that must be addressed before schools can physically reopen. They're posted on our website, and next week we will be presenting our full platform with the context and background to chapter leaders for discussion and review. And now I'm very pleased to present our bargaining team member and 8th grade teacher, Jen McAfee.
Hi, thank you, Arlene. Good morning. Sitting on the bargaining team as a teacher brings a special perspective, I think. And so most of our board members are also classroom teachers. And when I'm looking at what the district is proposing or what they're don't have answers for, I'm just imagining being on campus with 1,700 kids or even half of those kids. Like, where is the space going to be? How much staff are we going to have that's going to help monitor kids having masks on or making sure they walk one way or that they're staying 6 feet apart? Thinking about my classroom, having kids just have to sit there, even if they were going to stay there in one seat all day long. That's not good for them either. And I'm just concerned about how will they have lunch? You know, our bathrooms are already limited for our campuses. Our class sizes are already too big. All of those things make me think about what the district can really do and provide. And I just don't see it happening at this time. It's clear with what we know about this virus and what LAUSD needs to do to prepare that we need to lead on this issue, like we did back in March when we called on LAUSD to save lives by shutting down schools. We should keep physical school campuses closed in the fall and focus on building a robust distance learning plan for educators, parents, and students. We as a union are also amplifying our call for the federal, state, and local support we need to have the capacity to reopen schools safely. The state and federal government have not provided the resources or funds to start school safely. At the federal level, we need Title I and IDEA fully funded. Even though at the state level, there are no cuts to the K-12 budget, we need to also make sure there is funding for our youngest early ed learners and adult eds. We also need to work on getting the schools and communities first, or Prop 15 passed. At the local level, there needs to be funding to help our students and families with housing security and paid sick leave. We need to continue our fight for our students, our educators, parents, and communities to support all of this during this time. And we need to make sure that we are all safe. Thank you. I'm now going to send it back to Cecily.
Thank you, Jennifer. And thank you, ladies. Remember that after our Facebook Live session this morning, check your email for a UTLA poll on where you stand on reopening physical school sites in the fall. The poll will have one question only: whether you support the call to keep schools closed. Be sure to answer before 5 p.m. tonight. We will be sharing the results soon after. We thank you for tuning in this morning. Be sure to read the comprehensive research paper and answer the poll question from the email that you will be sent right after this broadcast. Remember, you only have until 5 p.m. tonight. One poll question. Have a fantastic Friday. Get some rest. Stay informed, because we need you. UTLA strong. UTLA strong.
strong.
UTLA strong.
UTLA strong.
UTLA strong.